Hi and welcome to Healthy Life Hacks. I'm Jennifer Jefferies, the present-day wise woman, a realistic naturopath coming to you from the surfing beaches of Australia. This podcast is for those of you who are wanting to really rock your life and health and live from a place of prevention. Let's get into today's episode. I am so excited to be here today with Dr. Alice MacKinnon, the Stillness Ninja and absolute mindfulness expert.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
Well, she happens to also be my wife. But you really are. We're going to dig in today into a bit of a background and everything that mindfulness is, because you really live, I see you live and embody everything that mindfulness is on a daily basis.
Yeah, I do. It's very important to me.
Yes. So let's dig in.
Let's dig in.
Do you want to give us a bit of a background first on, if we're going to really talk mindfulness, what's your background that brought you to mindfulness, and kind of introduce yourself around that topic? Let's start there.
Interesting. Well, I guess what brought me to mindfulness originally was yoga.
Ooh.
Yoga postures. I've been doing yoga for 35 years,
right?
Maybe even a bit more. And I guess that brought me to embodied mindfulness, excuse me, where the breath connects the body and the mind.
Right. Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful practice. And I love it very much. It took me through some, through a divorce, through a shared parenting of my son, through difficult times. It's taken me through all sorts of ups and downs in life. So I guess that's what kicked it off, with a wonderful yoga teacher up on Beachmont.
Cool.
Yeah. And then I guess for the last 10 years, when I was turning 50, a very dear friend introduced me to a form of sitting meditation that my busy body and my busy mind
she's a busy mind girl
found intriguing enough to sit still for.
Right.
And so I guess that's when I started my daily sitting meditation practice, which has now been going for 10 years.
Nice.
And that and then he also introduced me to another practice called japa, deep breathing with a mantra. And they changed everything.
Okay, cool. So your gritty mindfulness
my
is
gritty
what
mindfulness.
You call it. It's not just mindfulness, it's gritty mindfulness. And I love it because it's about being able to, as you explain it, and I want you to expand on it, but it's about being mindful amongst everything that's going on in the world. Because even my spiritual teacher says anyone can be peaceful in the ashram. It's about applying that to everyday life. And that's your gritty mindfulness, is about staying mindful amongst it all, isn't it?
It really is. Gee, gritty mindfulness is quite a new concept that I've been developing.
Sure.
And it came about in a conversation, about this time last year, when I was reinventing my business and really honing in on integrating all that I've done over the last 35 years and all that I want to do and how I could help people in their lives. It came together in this idea of mindfulness as a martial art. Yes. Mindfulness as a disciplined practice, that is embodied, and that is, mind, breath, body, heart, spirit, all of those things, like a martial art. And, I do teach a slow motion martial art in Qigong. So it made sense to start to follow that track and really start to play with it. And bring mindfulness into everyday life for people, because it's easy for people in our busy lives, bringing up kids, big jobs, whatever it is we have going on, to think, mindfulness, it's a worthy theory. Nobody disagrees with the theory of mindfulness, with the idea of it. But gosh, practicing it is all a bit too hard. Blah, blah, blah. When I've got more time, I'll practice it. So I really wanted to start to bring mindfulness into everyday life. And then talking to a friend a couple of months ago now, who is a police officer and a fiery, she's keen to have me come in and work with the police service. But she said, some of the people in the service, they think, why mindfulness? Why? And in that conversation, I said, what if I could bring mindfulness into the grittiness of everyday life, of the type of work that you guys do in the police service?
She's like a forensic cop.
And I said, what what if we could do that? How does gritty mindfulness sound? And I could see all the light bulbs switched on in her head, and she just went, yes, people will love that. And so that's where the idea of gritty mindfulness came from. And it's about being in the cut and thrust of everyday life, in relationships, raising kids, with difficult bosses, sometimes toxic workplaces, working on your own, whatever it is.
Life's gritty in different ways to different people.
It is, yes. Yeah. So that's what I'm working quite closely with these days.
So do you want to just give us the bottom, because we're bottom line kind of girls. Do you want to just do the bottom line on what your 7 steps to gritty mindfulness are?
Yeah, maybe Mrs. Jen, before I do that, I could maybe just mention what some of the benefits of mindfulness
Absolutely, that's
are.
a really good idea.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
The
Absolutely.
neuroscience tells us now that mindfulness practice, sitting, meditation, deep breathing, bringing our focus to the present moment in many different ways, mindfulness practices, the benefits of that are focus, brings focus back into our life. Our muscles, our capacity to focus are improved. And that is huge these days in this world full of distractions.
Yeah, big time.
And we know that being able to pay attention and focus is a very important skill.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
A life skill. So
there's so many more distractions nowadays too.
So many more.
Yeah.
So many more. So it helps us to focus. It helps us to pay attention to what's going on in our bodies and around us, inner and outer energies.
Yeah.
It helps us to calm and steady our nervous system. So we have the sympathetic nervous system, we have the autonomic nervous system, just,
kicking away all the time.
That's right. It's divided. There are 2 parts to it: the sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight part, and then there is the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the kind of rest and digest part of our nervous system. It allows us to access the parasympathetic nervous system and bring ourselves back to center and steadiness and calmness, and just to kind of soothe ourselves as we go through our everyday lives. That's a huge one as well.
Absolutely.
It also allows us to be able to be present to whatever is going on without judgment. And that's really huge too, to be able to kind of sit in the rafters and notice what's going on and give ourselves response time, so we're not always flying off the handle and reacting to people. And that's massive. All of those things are incredibly important for the quality of our relationships, quality of our family lives, quality of our workplaces, and our capacity to bring ourselves, our best selves, into everyday life. Those are some of the benefits. And that's neuroscience. All the wonderful technology and research going on in neuroscience is telling us that these are some of the benefits.
All right. So what are some of the steps that people, like, you've broken it down to 7 steps?
I have broken it down to 7 steps.
I'm all practical, so I want people in here to listen to the practical things they can, bring to their consciousness.
Absolutely.
Their mindfulness.
The other thing I forgot to mention.
What?
When we have that kind of practice going on in our lives, it brings happiness.
Yeah. That's why we're so happy.
Happiness. It really does. Yeah. So I just forgot to put that in.
It's great. Great benefit. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Thank you. Gritty mindfulness, 7 steps.
Here we go.
Mindfulness. 1. When you feel yourself off center, so wobbly, you're on the verge of flipping your lid, losing it, reacting instead of responding, that kind of thing. The first step is to notice. Step 1, gritty mindfulness, notice. The body will send you signals, a racing heart, a thumping heart, rising temperature, if you're not feeling like you're quite in your body, all sorts of different, shallow breath, all those sorts of things. First, notice.
Notice without judgment.
Yeah,
a lot of people notice and then they go, gosh, Jen, you're a dick. What are you doing? Just notice without judgment.
Just notice.
Great.
And then you name it.
Number 2.
Tame it. Number 2. Name it to tame it. So I might notice that I've got a thumping, racing heart.
Yep.
I know that's one of my body's signals to say that I'm feeling anxious.
Right.
So I go, hello, anxiety. Hello. That's all I do.
Nothing else.
You name it. And it helps to keep your
Right.
prefrontal cortex, your wise adult, pretty much switched in.
Okay.
Yep.
Number
because
3.
our language center, we're able to name it. Number 3. So notice it, name it, do something to bring yourself back to center. So things like give yourself a hug. Take 5 long, slow, deep breaths in, 5 long, slow, deep breaths out. It brings us slow. So the body will tell us when we're off center. We have to do something physical to bring us back to center. We can't tell ourselves stories.
No.
That's not going to bring us back to center. Doing something physical
moves the energy, doesn't it?
Yeah. So we bring ourselves back to center. And from there we get to, so step 4 is we choose our response. We choose how we're going to respond to whatever situation we're in that's causing us to feel a bit flipped out. Yep.
So if someone is heading that way and they would normally react,
yes,
they could choose to, stop, take the breaths and just go, I don't know.
Yep. So,
pause for a second.
Pause. It's a pause.
Right.
It's hitting the pause button. So you can choose, and it creates a gap between what's going on and where you're at. So instead of losing your temper and reacting, you just pause.
Yep.
Okay, my child is throwing the mother of all tantrums in the middle of the supermarket.
Yep.
Instead of slapping them or hauling them, by the scruff of their neck out of the shop in a big reactive moment, you've taken your breaths, you've come back to center.
Yep.
You can decide what to do. Do I give them a hug and here in the middle of the shopping center and just hold them tight? Do I, quietly and calmly pick them up and we walk out of the supermarket? You get to choose. So you make your choice. Or an email lands in your inbox from a colleague and it sets you off.
Yep.
And instead of shooting back an email that goes, blah, 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 blah.
And then you hit send before you go, I shouldn't have
right.
sent that. That was
That's
reaction.
right. You pause.
Yes.
You might let that email sit there for half a day or 10 minutes or half an hour while you choose to come. You decide how you're coming back to center and you decide how you're going to respond to that email.
Which is number 5.
Yeah.
Respond consciously.
Respond consciously. Number 5, respond consciously. And look, for some of us in some situations, responding consciously might mean with a colleague, for example, something's going awry in a conversation with your boss or a colleague, and you choose to say, I'm hearing you. This is clearly not a good situation.
Yep.
I need to step outside for 5 minutes to just think about it, to just clear my mind, to take a breath. I will be back in 5 minutes. I will be back in 10 minutes, and let's reconvene this conversation calmly.
Nice.
That kind of thing. So the choice might be to step away, and then come back to it. Got lots of choices.
We do.
Yeah. This
number 6.
Number 6 is once you've taken that action, is to then debrief, reflect upon it, think about what happened, think about your response. In a calm and open way, take the learnings from it and decide on what your next steps will be.
Right.
Out of that, you might need to
debrief number 7
with someone.
Yes.
In step 6, it might be more than what you can do yourself. You might go and talk to a trusted friend, debrief with them. And yes, step 7 is to then take the next step, whatever that would be.
Nice.
7 easy steps.
They are. I love it.
Yes.
And practical. That's the thing.
They're very practical. And I found a nitty-gritty 3-step process the other day as well through some training I was doing. And that it kind of is a extreme one.
Yep.
The 7 steps are ideal if you can do it, but if you are really caught short, we pretend that we have a remote control.
Yep.
With a stop.
Yep.
Pause. Play button.
Right.
Those 3 buttons.
Yep.
So there you are. You're
triggered. What's happened?
The whole thing's going to shit.
Yep.
and you grab your imaginary remote and you press stop. Stop means take a big, deep breath in, deep and slow, right down into the belly for about 5 seconds.
Yep.
Pause, then you press the pause button, which means you exhale for as long as you can, right to the very, 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 very end of your breath.
Right.
You might need to do that a couple of times. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
Just do it. Stop, pause, in breath, out breath. Then when you're ready, you press play and you respond
Consciously.
So, you respond consciously. So that gives you a gap.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice and easy to remember too.
Love a gap. That's really cool. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. You work as a professional speaker. You teach on this stuff into corporations. Like you say, the emergency services are starting to tap into your stuff.
Yeah.
You have so much to offer in that. But I love that you also do one-on-one coaching with people.
Oh, thanks, Mrs.
Remotely
Jen.
around the world on Zoom, which works really well.
It works really well.
Some people just need that extra level of support to bring these things into a way of being within, so that instead of our normal default, which is to like react and the world ends, sometimes we need someone to hold our hand as we go through that. And you are awesome at that, I have to say.
Thank you, Mrs. Jen. I absolutely love doing the coaching. The one-on-one coaching is so rewarding and really there's a lightness and a connection about it that's really special.
It is. I love seeing you when she's just done a session because she works from home. That's just delightful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you bring so much cool change to people's life.
Thank you.
When they need that extra layer of support.
Thank you so much. I combine gritty mindfulness with Psych K, ESYCH-K.
You are trained in that.
Which is one of the energy psychologies that allows us through a whole brain process to work with the subconscious, where 95% of our beliefs and values are held, which were kind of lodged there when we were between 0 and 6 years old,
right,
in our family or caregiving environments. And so it allows us to work with the subconscious and overturn self-limiting beliefs.
Nice.
Which is really great. And then we bring in the mindfulness in terms of what are the goals that people would like to focus on. Yeah. And what are the action steps they're going to take? Yeah,
and even one session is really empowering.
One session is pretty much what all people need.
Yeah. Yep, get kicked back on the right track.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you. What's the best way for people to follow you, Mrs. MacKinnon?
I thought you were talking to my mother then.
No, me. You're my wife, Mrs. MacKinnon. I'm Mrs. Jefferies. My mother. Mrs. Alice.
I put lots of reels out on Instagram and on Facebook.
So that's Alice MacKinnon.
Alice Iona.
Alice Iona, because she's from there in Scotland. IONA.
Yep.
Alice
MAC.
MacKinnon.
KINN.
I'll put a link in the show notes.
Thank you, babe.
Yeah.
And people can contact me through my website,
which is
AliceIonaMacKinnon.com.
AliceIonaMacKinnon.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for your wonderful interest in this.
I get to watch I get to watch it in action every day. And it's been really cool for me to take it, learn it, just osmosis, because I'm surrounded by it all day by being married to you, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. Well,
it's been such a good, positive benefits even for me.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Jen. These are such practical tools.
Yes,
such practical tools that enable us to engage with the richness and meaning of life and of relationships and of families and of workplaces and of community. They are practical tools. So, one of the foundations of mindfulness is practice.
Yeah.
You can read all the books that you like about mindfulness, but if you don't practice, your deep breathing or any form of mindfulness, it's not going to make a bit of difference in your life. So show up and practice every day. And the breath is our great enabler.
It is.
Usually.
It is.
Yeah, deep, long, slow breaths, calming.
Awesome. So go to the show notes on the website. So go to, if you want to check out links on how to contact Alice. And we might put the Gritty Mindfulness 7 steps there as well. So we'll put all that on the show notes. So go to healthylifehacks.com.au to download that. So thanks for being on.
Oh, thank you so much, Jen.
That's been really cool.
It's been great.
Have a great week, guys.
Bye.
I want to thank you for being here today. If you enjoyed my podcast, please let me know by leaving a review on Apple Podcast. Every month, I draw one lucky person who leaves a review on Apple Podcasts to have a free 1-hour consultation with me. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're tuning in from so that you always catch the next episode. And if you would like to receive a free copy of my Feed Your Body ebook, simply click the link in the comments below. Join my newsletter and we will get that free ebook sent to you. I welcome your emails and you can write to me at podcast@healthylifehacks.com.au. Until next time, remember, when it comes to life, live it, love it, and get on with it.